Hello everybody, on today's news, Miro unveils the new AEW Championship belt.
We've got news of a trade between NXT and the main roster.
We've got all the roundup from Fyter Fest Night 1.
We've got all the forthcomings from Fyter Fest Night 2.
And Sheamus
got engaged!
Hey, lovely stuff. I'm Adam Nicholas.
And I'm debatably Adam Cleary. And this is the news. That is sad. I see why they do it all the time.
Yeah, they get that such a high off it, you see. Although maybe it just doesn't eliminate. When you're feeling a bit under the weather, mate, it doesn't necessarily eliminate.
I felt that. I've definitely felt. I've got something, but we'll push on. Nonetheless, I've just got an excuse in early, that's all.
That's it. It's good. I don't have an excuse, so when I'm rubbish, we'll just see how it goes. But yes, speaking of things that aren't rubbish, let's talk about Miro. Now, this isn't technically new news, but it is technically great news. So let's talk about it. Miro has a brand new AEW Championship belt. Now, for anybody who was paying attention when AEW Dark Elevation was on the other night, you will have noticed a little insert, a promo from Miro where he was talking about being the Redeemer, Adam Cleary. It's a great promo. Go and watch it if you haven't seen it already. But most notably, in amongst that, there was a little snippet where he revealed a brand new version of the TNT Championship, of course. Now, previously, obviously, we've had a change already from the one that they sort of retired for Brody Lee, and then we got the new one that Darby Allin had. Miro obviously beat him for that belt. It's the black strap with the red detail on, but Miro's new one that he's revealed has a white strap and has green detailing over the belt as well. So a new look for perhaps a new sort of angle, I guess, for Miro. He's going to be the Redeemer in AEW. It's just so weird seeing him having a nice time, Adam Cleary, and just genuinely being allowed to be good. But this belt, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd given up. I'd given up on Miro to an extent because all we ever wanted was for him to leave WWE and go to a promotion that could book him correctly, and he did, and nothing happened. And sometimes you've just got to hold your hands up and call it and say, look, maybe it's not their time right now. Maybe their creative juices aren't properly flowing. Maybe it's just not going to work out from here as well. Maybe it couldn't work out anywhere. And then you seemingly click your fingers, and he's now one of the most watchable things on one of the most watchable wrestling shows in the world. However, I know people tune into this for some searing wrestling insight, but when I saw that belt, I just finished watching the season finale of Loki, and I just thought, because now there's only one thing I'll associate the colour green with forever now. So that's my hot take. They should have done a marketing crossover. Missed opportunity there. TK, give us a call. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice, and I'm happy for him always.
Yeah, and for anybody else who's interested as well, the Loki season finale was really good.
Really good. Won't spoil it.
Yeah,
really
good.
It was really good. Very un-Marvel. Anyway, what was Marvel us was a recent trade. Oh gosh, he still got it. Was a recent trade between WWE's main roster and NXT. Now, if you cast your minds back just a few days ago, you will remember that Mandy Rose made I'm not even going to do the air quotes, shocking appearance on NXT. When somebody from the main roster comes down there and it's not Survivor Series, we ask, what the hell? And Mandy Rose has not exactly been struggling for TV time. She's not exactly been prominent, but she's not somebody they've forgotten about on the main roster. So her appearing in the Gigi Dolan and Sarai match seemed quite exciting. We were like, oh, what the hell? There was some reports yesterday that she had been traded from NXT, from the main roster to NXT. But the problem with the word trade is it invites the question, well, what did the main roster get back for that? And apparently, today's story, according to PW Insider, is that they got Aliyah for that. Now, if you cast your mind back to the exact same show, you will remember her turning on Robert Stone, which we thought was leading to a new story. Perhaps she was going on her own. Well, she is. She's just going to Raw, Adam Nicholas.
Yes, she is. And it's a weird one, this, because you and I have both had stints where we've done the videos for WhatCulture, reviewing NXT every week. Of course, Gareth Morgan does an excellent version of that. Currently, go and see that. It's on our YouTube channel. And I've literally watched it for so long, seeing Aliyah progress all this way, and how obviously she was one of, for a little while, quite a few names that had just stayed in NXT for quite some time. You weren't ever sure, but she was always getting better. Piece by piece, she was always getting better. Now, I know a lot of people will say it shouldn't take somebody that long, but everybody's journey is different. And honestly, genuinely, the sort of pop and the you deserve it that she got from the NXT universe on the night really kind of sums it up. Anybody who's been there, particularly those people who will have been in the building as well, who were literally there back in the Full Sail days, will know that this woman has worked her arse off. And I guess, look, we know it might not be the best thing going to the main roster. It's not got a great track record, but still some recognition for the hard work she's put in nonetheless.
I mean, there is a very old expression, does not matter how slow you go, so long as you keep going. And I can tell you, I pretty much covered from Aliyah's, not a debut, she'd been in the company before I started doing the review shows, but when she was finally getting a bit of TV time and a bit of character work, right from the start of that all the way up until I stopped doing the show, she kept going. Like, the Robert Stone stuff was very hit and miss. Her matches were very hit and miss. But as it went on, the hits became more frequent and the misses became less obvious. And you would struggle to argue she's not been one of the most improved people over its entire time on the USA Network. Is that a big claim? She's been there the longest. And look where she's getting. No, I think she's definitely been one of the most improved the entire time.
I would say so. And the amount of talent that she's probably put over that have ended up becoming your personal favourites. I think you are quite a lot, even if you might not like her as a wrestler. But nevertheless, you do need them people in a company. Let's move from NXT, move across to AEW. Ooh, the Wednesday Night Wars. Remember them back in the day? That was a good time, wasn't it? Fyter Fest, though. Night 1 took place last night. And of course, we have all the notables from it, including 2 title stories, Adam Cleary, the first of which is a title change. Oh, we love a good title change with fans back in the building as well. Who doesn't like it? Well, last night, absolute Ricky Starks defeated Brian Cage for the FTW Championship. This is mad, this. And I have to say, the reaction from the crowd of the night was massive. Is it because they haven't been there for a while? Is it because Ricky Starks is great? Is it because this was just quite well done? Who knows? Either way, it got a big old pop. But to quote the Beatles, Adam Cleary, he needed a little help from his friends.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Because Brian Cage was about to finish him off, but a distraction from Hook on the outside distracted the referee, and then Will Hobbs smashed Brian Cage in the face with the belt, at which point Ricky Starks gets the spear, gets the pin, and the crowd goes wild. Adam Cleary, huge reaction for that. But before you tell me how you feel about that, let's just quickly also talk about the other title match that was going on last night. The opener of the night, Jon Moxley against Carl Anderson for the IWGP US Championship. Let me tell you, when Machine Gun Carl Anderson turns up for a match, in a singles match, that man is awesome. This match was amazing. Started the show brilliantly, kicked everything off the way you'd want. Shades of Carl Anderson in New Japan when he was in the G1 Climax in 2012 and got all the way to the finals. He's so good. You don't understand. He chooses sometimes to just stick around because that's what he can do as well. But unfortunately, he didn't get the win last night. Jon Moxley retained his belt. A great match nonetheless, though. Adam Cleary, your thoughts on 2 great title matches?
I'm kind of exposing myself a bit here. I'm going to get pelted for this, but it took me a while. After Ricky Stark's introduction to AEW, it genuinely took a while for my brain to register that he was a wrestler. Not because of anything he was doing, but because the way he was talked about in the office. I mean, the office is just, that's what it's just been me, Andy, Cedric. The way he was talked about so effusively with praise, I genuinely, because I was only half listening, thought Ricky Starks meant I thought it was slang for something good. That was absolutely Ricky Starks, that. So when I saw him on a poster, I was like, oh, that's cool. That guy's got the name of the meme. And then I discovered, no, the guy is. I'm absolutely delighted for him. Even through osmosis, it's been very easy to pick up how beloved he is by the AEW fans, how talented he is in the ring, and another success story of someone they've not plucked from nothing or obscurity, but certainly given the biggest platform he's had at this stage of his career, I think it's fair to say, and helped elevate him in the process. And, well, I mean, you've already mentioned there Jon Moxley in the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Would it be remiss of me to move on to a slightly other story, tangentially related to Jon Moxley in the IWGP US Championship? Well then, my friend, we have 4 matches currently announced for Fyter Fest Night 2, which is, of course, next week. It's not tonight. Don't mess up with your body clock. Don't order more snacks in. Night 1 and Night 2 are a week apart, even though it's technically Night 1 and Night 8, but we're not going to get into that. Jon Moxley will be defending his IWGP US Championship against Lance Archer. Oh, that's not done. In a Texas death match. Now, I'm from Texas, but I have been at a WWE show when they've done a Newcastle death match. So I can sort of extrapolate one from the other. I think the difference is going to be, in a Texas death match, you can hit each other with frozen steaks. In a Newcastle death match, you can hit each other with frozen steak bakes. I think that's the difference. 4 people will like that joke, and to all 4 of them, thank you for your pity laugh. Anyway, other than that, we've got Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. Rub your hands together. We've got Chris Jericho versus Shawn Spears. Spears can use a chair in this match. That's a stipulation. Jericho cannot. To hit him with, one presumes, not just to catch a breather with increased lung capacity because he's not sat on the floor. We'll see how that one plays out. And Orange Cassidy will take on The Blade, which I thought, I will say again, when I was initially introduced to The Blade all those many years ago, I thought that name would age as badly as The Edge in U2 has. I thought either you have to be Blade or you have to have a proper, like Edge. If Edge was The Edge, he'd be lame, because The Edge from U2 is very lame. I thought The Blade would be incredibly lame, and here we are. I I wouldn't die for that, man, but I consider it.
They're both real great as well. Butch and Blade, they're both excellent, man. They're real dudes. The gimmick's good. The look's good. Everything's great. Who couldn't like them? Honestly, the Fyter Fest Night 1 was good. If Fyter Fest Night 2 is anywhere near as good as with the sort of quality delivered, then I think people are going to be relatively happy. And also, John Moxley, please don't die. Do you know what I mean? You know, got the little one at home now.
Now.
Come on. Poor Renee's going to be sitting at home trying to multitask, like watching you be an idiot. Texas Death Match as well. For anybody, they did have one of these, of course, in New Japan between Moxley and Lance Archer, and it was not pretty. Let me tell you, it was great, but it wasn't pretty, man. It was tasking, to say the least. I'm sure it will be just the same.
I know the critics will say that should have been my point of reference for this particular match, and not the Newcastle Death Match I saw between Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho in Newcastle. However, to them I say, tough. It was really good. It was really good.
To them, I say, forget about it. I've got to be honest, the whole time you were talking about that Newcastle Death Match, I was thinking, what frozen item of food is he going to be talking about? And what connects to the steak? And sure enough, the steak bake. I should have seen it coming. Oh, shout out, Greggs. We love you with all our heart.
Return our calls, Greggs, please.
please.
I got the follow back. I got the follow back from Greggs. I'm just waiting for the return phone call.
Reply to our DMs. Stop leaving us on scene, goddamn.
We have vegans on the staff. What more do you want?
This is true. But let's talk about something wholesome now. Adam Cleary, Sheamus got engaged.
Weirdly, I've got to say weirdly.
Yeah.
I know people are like, oh, I don't care about marriage and gossip and stuff. I woke up, Fyter Fest was last night, and there was a whole host of WWE news. The first thing I do in the morning, second thing I do in the morning after I kick out the High Street Honey and the Playboy Bunny from my room is check the timeline, right? And the first thing I saw, the first wrestling-related story I saw, wasn't the Fyter Fest, wasn't all the stuff about how exciting the Elite match is going to be, which I've forgotten to mention. I'm going to circle back to you in just a second. It was that Sheamus got engaged. People seem genuinely made up for him because he's such a lovely fella. So I, too, am made up for him because he seems like a lovely fella.
Indeed. It sounds like he had a lovely time doing it as well because, you know what it is? I think he's obviously goes under the radar quite often, Sheamus, in WWE. A lot of people just kind of take him for granted, maybe don't give him the props that he deserves. It's just nice to see good things happening for him. He's engaged over, it says, he engaged at the cliffs of Moher in Ireland this past week.
Did you see the picture?
I have not yet seen the picture.
Right, when you see the picture. Not to localise it too much.
Two of them, you mean?
Yeah.
I've seen that picture.
Not to localise this too much in Newcastle again. I'm aware that the vast majority of our audience have never been here. That's genuinely, I thought that was Time-Out Priory when I first saw it. It's spit of the coast Time-Out. I was like, what? Sheamus is here?
Funnily enough, I was just there the other day, and that does look exactly like that.
And if you've never heard of Time-Out Priory, give that maybe come visit it when you're allowed to do something.
When you're finally allowed to do just that. Yeah, so what a nice way to end it. Go on.
Well, before we end it, I just should quickly circle back. This isn't announced for Fyter Fest, which is why I didn't mention it in the roundup of forthcoming Fyter Fest, but at some stage in the future, somewhere down the line, the Kenny Omega, Adam Page rivalry will come to a head, and I think it's fair to say this is a perfectly booked next step in this story, as Page and the Dark Order will take on the Super Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, with complex and fascinating stipulations. If you've got a pen and pencil, find some paper, and then jot this down. You've got Adam Page is already the number one contender for the AEW Championship. He has that. He's got that. That's locked in. However, the Dark Order are not the number one contenders for the AEW Tag Team Championship. So in this 3-on-3 match, elimination I should add, what will happen is, if Page and the Dark Order are successful, then Page will retain his number one contendership shot somewhere down the line, and the Dark Order will get a number one contendership shot somewhere down the line. If the Super Elite are victorious, then Page cannot challenge for the AEW Championship, regardless of the fact he's number one in the ranking. So that's Page's number one contendership spot's on the line, and the contendership spot for the Dark Order is on the line. I think you can't see under about here on the camera, but if you could, there's been a significant change in my physique.
I imagine as I edit this video, I will hear the thud of on the table below. It'll be something to behold. But Adam, that is all of our news for today. And unfortunately, would you look at that? We've run out of time. So we don't have time for any Twitter questions unless you happen to pull some out of your ear at this exact moment. I believe we don't have any today, do we?
I've got loads of Twitter questions, but they're not related to wrestling.
What questions about Twitter? Where's your blue tick?
People have asked me if I'm coming to several conventions, and I'm just like, no. But none of them are wrestling conventions, so it's not relevant here. If you are watching, though, and you ask me if I'm going to Trek Fest, then I'm not. No. No. It's in October, and I will not feel particularly comfortable.
You would like to go, though, I think.
I would love to go.
Yeah.
I would love to go absolutely anywhere and reconnect with people. But look at me. Look at me. I'm disease laden. I can't be planning this stuff.
Look at me.
It got me.
Right.
It got me, mate.
Well, before you pass out and before too many people wipe too many fingers at us for being rubbish at the news and not really doing what we're supposed to do, thank you for joining us for today's issue of The News.
The news.
As always, you can follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. You can go and read all of those articles at whatculture.com/WWE. Or if you'd like to follow either of your hosts, you can do just that. You can follow me at It's Adam Nicholas, or you can follow Adam Cleary.
Get me at Adam Cleary. I forgot there. CLERY. It'll just be self-pitying and Love Island for the next week or so. So just a heads up.
And they aren't mutually exclusive either. They are, of course,
kind of
separate. Well, it is what it is. Anyway, no more Euros to tweet about, so maybe I'll tweet about the rest of it. So fine. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.